How we doing, everybody? Welcome back to the Widzelli channel. Today I'm doing a desert factions guide in Rome Remastered. So that's Egypt, that is Carthage, and that is Numidia. And I'm going to be giving you strategies, tips and tricks, and finally a ranking at the very end. So make sure you stick around for that. And we are going to begin with Egypt. Now Egypt is, well, I said I'd rank them at the end, but Egypt is almost undoubtedly the easiest faction to play after the three Roman factions. You've got a defensible homeland, no real enemies around that can deal damage to you, because your main enemy is the Seleucids, who are dealing with Pontus and Armenia and Parthia. They don't have the manpower to focus on you, so you can kind of just push on them and they will roll over. In fact, it was, I took them over so quickly I was able to sail a ship to Crete and attack them from two sides to make them crumble even faster. I mean, the Seleucids are not a strong opponent. They will crumble. And you've also got more money than you know what to do with. You've got a good roster. You've got chariots. You've got phalanxes. You've got heavy cavalry. You've got light cavalry. You've got archers. You've got onagers. You've got anything you need. I mean, I would give you tips and tricks, but there's really not much to it. If you're looking for an easy faction to ease you into Rome Remastered, consider, and you don't want to play the Romans for whatever reason, consider Egypt, because they are very hard to mess up unless you go against, typical Total War sense, which is, turtle up and don't be aggressive. You got to be aggressive. You got to take more territory to finance your armies. But, I mean, pretty soon, you will have rolled over Seleucids, and then you also have to take out Armenia, which is why I have this city all the way up here. And pretty soon, you will achieve victory. Any pharaoh would be pleased to celebrate such a victory. So that's how you win as Egypt. And with that, let's move on to Carthage. Carthage is one of my favorite factions because they are kind of a divided empire. You've got to fight enemies on three fronts. You don't have a consolidated homeland. You've got Numidia, who will raid you and annoy you, and so you have to deal with them. You've got to consolidate the homeland. And then you also have Sicily and the Romans to deal with. The Julii will come down and take Careless, like this army that's just chilling there. What are these guys called? The Scipii, yeah, duh. The Scipii will, they're your natural enemy. You've got to take them out. And so you're going to have to deal with those guys. And I've even had the Bruttii in a couple of games come down and try to take, like, Baptist or something, or even Carthage. So you've got to deal with potentially all three Roman families, Numidia, and you've got the Iberian Peninsula to deal with. You've got this one city of Corduba, and you've got to take Spain and eventually Gaul, because Gaul's got some force here too. So you're fighting on three fronts, and you can't afford to abandon any of them because you are making very, very little money. You do not have a strong economy. Africa's cities, aside from Carthage and Thapsus and Cirta a little bit, or Curta, I'm not sure, don't make you a ton of money. So you've got to get into Italy. You've got to get these high-producing cities that will give you enough money. And Spain, you've got to get those mines going. You've got to generate some money from here. But even if you get the mines, like, this is $700 right here. This is $400. Iberia is not very profitable, and you are going to have to fight for it because that's the territory you need. And so you're going to have to divide resources between three different fronts, which makes it super difficult, but really, really fun. This is a nice kind of like medium-sized campaign. If you're feeling like you're kind of getting to that veteran spot, you should try Carthage out. They're also really fun because they have one of my favorite units in the entire game in their elephants. They've got three different types, and there's very little in this game that's more fun to watch than an elephant just plowing through some troops. So they're a ton of fun. Some tips: long shield cavalry and round shield cavalry are going to be very nice for you, especially in Iberia when you're facing these barbarian factions that will rout really easily, and you can just charge them because the Roman infantry is going to be superior to your Iberian infantry. Iberian infantry are basically town watch, and they're just trash for the most part. And Libyan spearmen are pretty good, but they're fine, but it'll be a while until you can mass produce those. And then what you really want are these Sacred Band. This is an incredible unit, an absolutely incredible unit. You should get this, but they take 2 turns to get, and they also require a tier 4 temple, so it's going to be a while before you get that. That's probably, if you're doing the short campaign, that's probably not realistic to have an army full of those guys, but yeah, I mean, once you deal with the Scipii and you deal with Spain and you deal with Numidia, pretty soon you will have a victory that is worthy and most sweet as Carthage. So that's how you win as Carthage. And with that, let's move on to the last one, Numidia. Now, I have beef with Numidia. I've made a video on them previously that'll link in the description, but the title of that video is Worst Faction Ever, and I stand by that. They just have they're terrible. You watch the video if you want more details, but I'll just go over it really briefly here. Their roster is not good at all. They've got Javelin from their barracks, Desert Infantry, mid. They've got Numidian Legionnaires, excuse me, who are actually not bad, but you get them so late that they don't matter because the infantry that you're fighting is way better than yours. Their cavalry, Numidian cavalry, great unit, but they don't have enough ammo to be useful. And then the other unit of cavalry they have, the long shield cavalry, are fine early game units, but they just quickly get outclassed by other factions' cavalry. So you've got nothing going for you. Roster wise, you've got terrible units. You're gonna have to use mercenaries and lots of cavalry. I have a ton of armies that are just just cavalry. I mean, they're just tons and tons of cavalry. And then, as you can see, on this campaign, I don't actually have any of the settlements I started out with, and that is because Numidian settlements make you zero money at like their settlements are just complete trash at the beginning of the campaign. So what I did, and this is one of the strategies, is you can abandon here and just go to Spain, because Spain can actually generate you some money once you get the mines. They're not great settlements, but they're better than Numidia. Spain isn't that tough of an opponent, and Spain is really defensible because basically you've only got Gaul to deal with coming in from these mountains, and you can just place a fort here, a fort here, a fort here, and you basically have control of Spain, and you can deal with them. Now, I'm not saying I would recommend that. I mean, it is fun. I would recommend it if you want to have fun, but I think the better option for Numidia is to bum rush Carthage here. You consolidate all of your forces from these 3 settlements that you start out with, and you just attack Carthage and Thapsus and try to take those 2 settlements, because they will start to generate you some money, and you can use that to launch into Sicily and into Italy, and then you'll start making some money. Problem with that is the Romans are going to be your enemy. Carthage will be a little tough just because you don't really have much force, but they're not undefeatable. But Rome will be a little tough because you've got the Scipii to deal with. The Julii will come and take Carolus and give you problems, and then I've even had the Brudii come and try to take Thapsus occasionally. So you're gonna have to deal with all the Romans. It's gonna be tough, but I think that is the better option because you get ahead of them before they can get these massive armies and massive empires going. So that is really good. And then the other issue with coming to Spain too is that at the beginning of the campaign, in almost every campaign, well, let me just get Gaul here. Gaul is like the top one. Hold on. Yeah, Gaul is like at the top for the first 50 turns, almost, without fail in every campaign, unless you're attacking them at the very beginning. So Gaul will be a large problem for you. But and then the other thing about Numidia is that you also start with Siwa, and so you can decide whether you want to abandon that and focus on Africa and Carthage, or migrating, or you can try to come over here and take Thebes. Thebes doesn't start out with walls, so you can take that pretty quickly. And then you can try to defend this and take on Egypt. That will be really tough, especially because you're going to have to balance resources between that and over here in Africa, in Northern Africa. But I guess this is all Northern Africa, but you know what I mean. So it'll be more tough, but if you want even more of a challenge, you can do that. So yeah, that's Numidia. Basically, after a lot of struggles, eventually you will be a triumph. You will have risen from the dust of the desert to the cold dank forest and driven all before them. And you'll get victory as Numidia. Okay, and now it is time for the rankings. I kind of have not held my cards close to my chest on this one. It's pretty obvious. Egypt is just number 1. They're a powerhouse. You know that. Yeah, if you played any faction, Egypt is always like, you get the notification that they're most advanced, or whatever. They're just solid. I've explained it. Good roster, weak enemy, lots of money. They're a solid faction. Next up is Carthage. They're right in the middle, right in the medium to hardish range. They've got lots of enemies. They've got like 3 fronts. They're tough, but they're really fun. I think they're the nice balance of when you're getting like right into the game of learning how to balance all the different things you need to in order to become even a better player than you are. And then lastly, Numidia. If you ever want to play Numidia, don't just play literally any other faction. Um, but no, Numidia is fun just because of how absurdly hard it is. You're gonna have to, again, go watch the other video, but you're just gonna have to fight so many battles as Numidia. So that's the ranking: Egypt, Carthage, Numidia. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your day.